Hi, I'm Jeanne, and you probably have seen some of our other videos on YouTube. And if you have a few minutes, I was thinking about something this week, and I thought that I would like to share it. A long time ago, right after college, when I decided to paint full-time, I was with a group of other artists, and we used to paint in the evening. We used to go to another artist who was an Austrian artist, and his name was Paul Cottney, and he's now deceased. But we used to gather there around 7 o'clock at night, and we would hire models, primarily physicians or medical students, their wives, and they wanted to make extra money, and they would just pose for us. And Paul had a studio at one end of the house, and his wife had a studio at the other end. She was a ballerina and taught ballet classes, so she had a lot of costumes, and they had two daughters, and the daughters would pose for us a lot of times when we couldn't get other people to do it. And we would work from 7 o'clock at night to 11 o'clock. But Paul had an unusual schedule. He would, after we left, then he would paint till about 4 o'clock in the morning and go to bed and not get up till around 1 o'clock. And he would eat his breakfast at maybe 2 o'clock. But I thought it was interesting because a lot of artists like to work during the night. Well, the more I think about it, sometimes it's quieter during that time. And in the evening when he would have us there, he felt that we inspired him too, plus he would give us a lot of tips and things, and just being in a group with other people made a big difference. Well, I really loved to draw, and at that time I was really, I had small child, and I would, whenever they were sleeping and not moving, I would try to draw them. But it was interesting because one time in class, he looked at a drawing that I did, and we were doing nudes, and he said, "You draw like Schiele," and I was, well, who's that? And I had never heard of Egon Schiele, and now I'm embarrassed that I didn't know who he was. But as soon as he said that, I went out and bought a book to see who he thought I drew like. And primarily it was because I used a lot of heavy line and line drawings on my figures, and at that time I wasn't really painting as much as drawing. So about 30 years after that, after much time had gone by, and I was still painting and working in oil, we decided to take a trip to the Czech Republic. And I had never been there. We were in Europe, and we thought, well, we're not that far away, so let's just go see what it's like. And we ended up in a town, and I don't think that I can pronounce it correctly, but I have a hat, and I think it's Keski Krumlov. Now, I'm not sure of the pronunciation, but that's where we ended up. And it was the quaintest little town. The center of the village was really all cobblestone, and you would go up and down the cobblestone, and the place was just filled with shops, I'm sure primarily tourist shops, but they are well known for amber and also amethyst. And so there was tons and tons of different shops that sold all kinds of jewelry and things made out of these. And I have a bracelet, and I searched all day trying to find it because I wanted you to see what it looked like. And it was really a pretty bracelet that was made out of silver, and it had amber, but it had a big opening in the center of the bracelet and a big piece of amber in it. But it looked very, very artistic. And so we're walking all around the town, and all of a sudden, and because Egon had always kind of been in the back of my mind after Paul said that, I look over at a building, and the side of the building is plastered with posters, maybe 8 or 10 posters. And the poster looked like this. And I was like in shock. I'm like, well, why is his poster here in this town when he's supposed to be from Austria. And so I think my husband probably saw it at the same time, and we both looked at each other and rushed over there. And what it was a little incredible museum, which was just about Egon Schiele. And when we went in, it looked like a medieval building. And downstairs they had posters and things that they were selling and books about Egon. And I have this, which I had purchased before, which is an incredible book that has a lot of his drawings. And I think it's still available, but it's I've kept it, for a long time. When we went into the upstairs, it was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like being in a huge barn, but then you go, it has like a balcony all the way around the inside of the barn. And every place you looked, there was a drawing, there was information about him. There were some paintings, but I couldn't believe it. And it turned out that his mother had lived in that town, and I guess he had visited her often. And there are some drawings and paintings that he did, landscapes of the town, which I never paid attention to where the paintings were when I looked at them in books and things. And so I was just in shock, but there was information there which was a little disturbing, but at the time I didn't think much about it because I really didn't know very much about the Spanish flu. And that Egon and his wife died very young. His wife was pregnant, and his wife died due to the Spanish flu, and then he died a few days later. And I was like so taken back by actually seeing that, and it was an obituary, and it was very, very sad. And I never thought about it too much after that. I mean, maybe once in a while I did. But the last couple of months, I've thought about it a little bit more. And the more I thought about it, I realized something, that this was the Spanish flu in 1918. And both of my parents, my mother and my father, were both born in 1918. My father was born in June in 1918. My mother was born in May of 1918. And to think that back in 1918, and they were living in Chicago, that this was, New York had the most cases of Spanish flu, but Chicago was number 2. And that both of my grandparents, my grandmother with 3 kids and my other grandmother with 6 kids, had babies during this year when they didn't have all of the things that we have. And that they not only went through that, but they went through the Depression. They went through World War II, where 5 of their children were in the war. And it's just amazing that here in this time, and we're in Florida, but all over the country, people won't wear a simple mask. And it just hit me really hard how they had to suffer through so much. And we're just asking such a simple thing. Just wear a mask when you go out. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. But also, if you get a chance, you can look at some of Egon's drawings. He, again, didn't have a lot of choices and people to draw. He did people that he knew, a lot of prostitutes. And so some of the pictures are maybe a little disturbing to some people, and a lot of them are very, very thin, and that that's something that makes them look a little odd. But actually, he was very thin also, and I think that you might appreciate it if you like art. If not, there's no reason why you wouldn't look at them just to know something different. I guess that's all I really have to say. I will probably be doing more on YouTube, and I hope that that you watch, because now is the time. You have a lot of time on your hands. And also, if you need to exercise, we have exercise classes that are on YouTube. We are starting classes for people who are almost couch potatoes, and classes for people who can do a lot more, and then people who can do even more than that. So all we're really asking you to do during this pandemic is wear a simple mask.